As usual, oozie.apache.org is a workflow scheduler for Hadoop. A workflow scheduler for Hadoop. Oozie is a workflow scheduler system to manage Apache Hadoop jobs. The very next point that is given, Oozie workflow jobs are DAGs, or directed acyclical graphs of actions. We'll talk about the other things later. It is scalable, reliable, and extensible system. It is integrated with the rest of the Hadoop stack, supporting several types of Hadoop jobs out of the box, as well as system-specific jobs such as Java programs, shell scripts kind of thing. We'll see these things. So with this basic points that have been mentioned, what is your perspective towards Oozie now? There is an interesting point that has been raised there called DAG. What do you mean by that? DAG? Directed acyclical graph. Any view towards that? Any idea? Yeah, friends, able to listen to me?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, what is your view towards that based on the
As per my knowledge, that this is really kind of a resource manager scheduler, which is the Hadoop.
Okay.
And it schedule the workflows,
Mhm.
the jobs, like map reduce jobs and all.
Yeah. Is a basically is a workflow scheduler system. Oozie is basically a workflow scheduler system. And they also mentioned very clearly it's a DAG of actions, they mentioned. More specifically, this DAG is nothing but directed acyclical graph. What do you mean by this directed acyclical graph? Oozie is basically a DAG of actions. So the other definition for Oozie is a DAG of actions. What do you mean by this DAG? What do you mean by this DAG basically?
So it shows the action, performing the workflows and the jobs and all, like how much is completed, what is the percentage of this job, kind of graphs, graph related stuff.
Not exactly.
Okay.
So you see,
Maybe it shows the
cyclical. What do you mean by cyclical? You start somewhere here, keep moving, 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 and probably you come to the same point. This is called cyclical, right? You start
Yeah.
somewhere, you start somewhere, and you start somewhere here and keep moving, and again you come back to the same. That is what we call it to be cyclical. Opposite to that is acyclical. Opposite to that is acyclical, right? You start somewhere, you keep moving. This is what we call it to be linear basically. And more specifically, if it is a directed, linear can be any, like this all linear only. But more specifically, a directed, which has got a direction. Such kind of a graph is what we call it to be a directed acyclical graph. Let me show you. Directed acyclical See, this is a directed acyclical graph. You can notice that here. I think you are seeing, which has got a clear beginning and a clear ending. Let you take anything, even you see here, keep going. Yeah, you start here. Yes, start here. You see, 1, 2, maybe from there, different paths. But if you notice closely here, at any point of time, you see there may be multiple paths from one node or vertex. But ultimately you see there is only one ending. There is only one ending. A clear beginning and a clear ending. Things can happen in between. That is what we mean by DAG of actions. A clear starting and a clear ending. That is what we technically call it to be a DAG, a directed acyclical graph. Directed acyclical graph. So if you look closely here, you understand and you appreciate. You have some requirement in the mind, and if this requirement needs to be fulfilled, you definitely, this is what the whole big requirement, and that you accomplish using How you accomplish is by dividing this into tasks. All these days what we have done is we have developed a MapReduce job and we have executed that. And then we have a pig script that also we executed it from the terminal. Then you have a high query or Oozie, a scoop action, either import or export. We worked all these things with all these things individually. But now imagine to fulfill this requirement, you want a HDFS command to be executed, and then example, what is the HDFS command to be executed? Delete the directory. Example, delete the directory. Okay. And then when the directory has been deleted, then you want a MapReduce job to run, and then a pig script. See, the MapReduce job takes some input and produces some output. And this is going to be served as an input to my pig script, and it produces some output. And probably this output is going to be taken care by a Hive query and produces some output. Hive, instead of saying Hive query, Hive script. And this output is going to be consumed by scoop command or scoop export, and that push the data to your traditional RDBMS. From there your BI is going to run. This is what the big story. Now for this sake, are you going to appoint someone and watch continuously? The HDFS command is been executed. Yes, I say yes, it has been executed. Now a MapReduce job needs to be initiated. Where from the terminal Hadoop, jar, and all that thing you say. Then once that is finished, then immediately you initiate your pig script execution. So doing this manually is definitely an expensive process. Doing this manually is an expensive process. It's definitely a very, very expensive process. Instead, you want these things to without the loss. If these things are being executed in a sequence and something goes wrong in between, the entire execution is going to be rolled back as if like nothing has been executed till now. Everything is smooth, we go further, and we end. So this entire thing, whatever I am mentioning here, this entire thing is what we call it to be a directed acyclical graph. Directed acyclical graph. This is one action. One more action. This is one more action. Like that, everything here is an action. All these put together, finally you want your requirement to get fulfilled or addressed. This is also an action. You got it? Make sense, friends?
Yeah.
Now, if this needs to happen, this is what basically is called a DAG. This is what we call it to be a DAG, directed acyclical graph. Is a directed one, which is not circular, and looks and works like a graph. Directed acyclical graph. So how this can be published? Theoretically, I mentioned it very clearly, oh, this one, and all I said. But we need to document these things. See, I need to run my HDFS command on OK, I should go to the execution of MapReduce. On OK, I should go to the next one. On OK, I should go to the next one. So there are only two possibilities at every level. Either it is OK or some error is being thrown. If it is OK, we go to the next in the sequence. If it is failed, then the entire activity should get rolled back. Whatever has happened till now, that also should not happen. That also needs to be rolled back, or let it be that one and we are going to come out of that. So depending on the situation. So how these details now can be published to your system and make it run automatically without any human intervention. Without any human intervention. So that responsibility is been taken by Oozie. Please read this one, friends. Workflow definition is a DAG with the control flow nodes. What are the control flow nodes? Start, end, decision, fork, join, kill are called control flow nodes, and action nodes such as MapReduce, Pig, Hive, Scoop, and all these things are connected by transitions arrows. The workflow definition language is XML based and is called HPDL, Hadoop Process Definition Language. Hadoop Process Definition Language. I hope you are following with me what I am sharing here, friends. So your DAG has got control flow nodes. Now we have understood and we have realized we have understood and realized that workflow definition is DAG with control flow nodes. And just before we also understood this workflow definition is done using XML. So as part of this XML, you know very well you have tags. So using those tags, or you call them as nodes, using those tags only we define things. So here if you look, a workflow definition is a DAG with control flow nodes. where we have a start, end, decision, fork. Then we have a join, kill. All these are called control flow. MapReduce, pick, and all these things comes under action nodes, workflow nodes and action nodes. Oozie does not support cycles in workflow definitions. Workflow definitions must be a strict DAG. A workflow application deployment time, if Oozie detected cycle in the workflow definition, it must fail the deployment. You also see here. Able to understand, friends?
Can you elaborate that a bit, Srinivas? This point, those two lines.
Oozie detects a cycle in the workflow definition, it must fail the deployment. That's what the rule. Control flow nodes and action nodes. So control flow nodes you take, start is entry point of the workflow. This all, whatever you are seeing, it is the workflow, it is a functional specification, workflow functional specification. So you can see that here, this is a root, workflow app is a root element of any workflow XML file. And inside that you have something called start, and you specify to, and you specify the name. End control node, this one. Kill control node, like this we specify, and also we include the message. Decision control node, and your fork and join control nodes. Fork is something like spawning a new control flow, for creating a new flow of execution within the same XML, creating a new flow within the same. That is called fork. Same like your operating system as well. Fork. And everything that is being forked must be joined. Because in terms of XML or workflow definition language, there should be at least one minimum. I hope you are following with me, friends, what I am sharing here. You can see that here there is a fork. Inside that there is one path of execution, the second path of execution. First path is this one, second path is this one. You want to can have multiple actions within the same path, not necessarily that we need to have only one action inside each sub workflow, or you call it to be the initiation or sub workflow, whatever the name you give, but ultimately the goal is that till you finish your things, let the kids let the paths, the individual paths going to perform. And finally you see here, this one you see on OK, it is going to joining. Here also on OK it is going to the joining. So there is one node that is called, that is named with joining, and from there it goes. You see that here. Probably you may have something like this. This is the start, and there is one action, maybe something called action 1. Here we have one more. Here we are going to say fork. Here we are going to say join. And probably you look at this one, you understand clearly. And this is where I call it to be end. Hope you're getting the point what I'm sharing here. So this is what I say the requirement. First you need to have the requirement in place. Then only we can do all these things. What you want to achieve, that needs to be very clear to you. Based on that only we can do all these things. So this kind of picture should be there in your mind. Then we can start creating the XML files. So I show you have a look at this one. Yes. Workflow-app is a root that has been closed. Action. What is action? MapReduce is action. You know very well while writing your XML files what the basic syntax or semantics. Every element should have a definite closing, which you have. Make sense, friends?
Yeah, Srinivas.
So here in the MapReduce action, we are clearly specifying what is a job tracker and what is a name node. And the preparatory work is there, and as part of the preparatory work, what is the directory you want to delete, because you know very well if the output path exists, then the execution fails. So not to happen, you are doing some preparatory work, you are making sure certain paths should not be should not exist, then those things will take care. It's part of the preparatory work. You are using delete, so to delete the respective directory, and then configuration you are giving what is the input directory, what is the output directory, what are the reduced tasks, all these things being specified as part of the configuration. You got the point, friends, here? What we do is with this, there are multiple ways to create your workflows. You can create your workflow in multiple ways. One, manual, and then through your hue. One is manual. Same we copy it, we create a file called workflow.xml. Let me show you that. There is something called workflow.xml, which you can see that there. That's not a problem. You can see that here, T work, and then you have a you see that here, workflow, start to, action, the map reduce, where the job tracker is located. But you see, most of the stuff that we are seeing here are coming with some kind of, it looks like a junk kind of thing, or maybe blanks kind of thing, but not having the concrete values. And those concrete values are actually present. That's fine, but you can see that here. Why that is not showing with open with more apps, WordPad. Yeah. See here, all those things, what are left blanks there, are having the corresponding values. So what is name node, what is job tracker, queue name, examples, what is everything that is there. Clear? In the place of this job tracker, the respective value is going to be, yes, here. That is going to be substituted when you're about to run that. So these files you create manually on your own, or this can be taken care in a predefined fashion using your Oozie. That is using your Hue, Oozie through Hue. We'll be able to do that one. I'll show you, don't worry for that. So here, these are the two things that we have, workflow.xml, and we have the infrastructure, that is job.properties file. Right? Both kept in the same directory. And now what we do is, we select the job and we click on something called submit. Then this job is going to be submitted to, whom? I say submit here, who is going to receive that job? to whom you are going to submit these jobs. That is why we have something called Oozie server, which runs on its own port and capable of accepting the requests made by the different stakeholders of the ecosystem. For what sake it is being invoked, that is going to be executed. No second thought. That is going to be executed. You can see that here. I click on submit now. Have a look at this. It is asking me something. I give. See here. See here. I can watch all those workflows, whatever been submitted through my workflow. I see two things here, workflow dashboards and workflow editors. All the workflows that are being submitted can be watched through my workflow dashboard. You can see that here. And this is basically the XML part, right? So in the dashboard, once you go to the dashboard, you can have a clear this thing. Now, what has happened with that workflow, whether that got executed or not? If been everything is successful, fine. If not, also we get the total details. Why it got failed? What is the reason behind it? Is clear? You see that? So you define this workflow.xml file. Of course, we don't manually write this one anytime. We take the help of few kind of thing and we do it there. How we do it is using I said create there. We specify the jar file where that is located. Probably we say, and we are going to specify test workflow. So anytime in future, you can see that here. Either you can see here, you want to give any description, you can give the description, and you can get your something called edit option here. You can give this is my test workflow as part of. We have done the editing right here. This. So you have something called a submit here. You are going to submit. In the background, automatically, you can see that here. In the background, automatically, the respective thing will take place, and we need not worry for that. We need not worry for that. So in the background, automatically, the required XML file and all that will be created, and we need not worry for that when you are creating through your Oozie editor. If you are doing it manually and you want to submit it, you have that possibility is also there. You want to do it manually, you can do that one, and you also can submit it manually to your here. You see there are commands available here. There are commands available. What are the commands available? The commands are something like one second. So we have the commands like run, start, submit, suspend, kill. You also has got something called kill. So all these are the commands with which you are able to submit you create something manually on your local directory and you submit those jobs to your Oozie. So whenever you are saying here submit or run, what exactly might be happening in your view? When you say submit or run here, what exactly might be happening? They actually get submitted to your Oozie server. Oozie has got server. This is basically a Java web application running inside a Tomcat container. That is what we call it to be Oozie server. But truly speaking, a var file running inside the Tomcat container, you are submitting your XML file and all that stuff to your Oozie server. So what Oozie server will do, that being an application, it will receive your XML file and parse that XML file and start executing action by action. Upon the successful completion of that action, it goes to the next one, next one, next one, next one, till the end. If there is any trouble, then we say on OK, we are saying something same like we also has got on OK. If there is error, what needs to be done, that also you mention. See this action now. This is the action starting and this is the action closing. The action type is MapReduce, where I am specifying the job tracker, task tracker, and all the other stuff, the configuration details, and then end of the MapReduce action. This MapReduce action may get executed successfully, that is on OK, or it may throw some error. If it is error, what needs to be done? Maybe we are going to end. If it is an error, we are going to end. If it is an error, we are going to end that one. So that is how you connect your jobs, I mean your actions inside your workflow and get that workflow executed as expected. Are you able to understand this one? But if you observe closely this, you must submit this one. You must submit this one. You need to submit this manually. You need to go to this workflow, select the workflow and submit this one. See, once you submit, all the actions inside are going to be executed one after the other. That's a different game. But human intervention is required. You need to select. Say for example, this ISQL, I must click on submit. I select that one and I need to submit. Now the same job, if you see, I attach the scheduling to that one. Then it's going to become a coordinator job. Say for example, a test coordinator. Okay, I save this one. We need to choose the workflow. Here. What is the workflow? All the available workflows are there here. So for example, I select this one. Then immediately you are getting every day at, I think you are getting the point, friends, here, what I am mentioning. So this is a coordinator job. Which workflow to schedule? This is a workflow which I want to schedule every day or every week or every month or every year or every hour, depending on your need. Every day, morning 5:30, you feel that time the cluster will not be that easy, that busy. So every day at 5:30, you want this workflow to be executed. Click on save. Your part is over. Your part is over, friends. So every day morning 5:30, this job is going to be executed. Every day morning 5:30, this job is going to be executed. I hope you are getting the point what I am sharing here. Such kind of workflows are technically called as coordinator jobs. Such kind of Such kind of workflows are technically called as coordinator jobs. Yeah, tell me.
Scheduling.
Yeah, scheduling,
Can
exactly.
you show that again? Scheduling.
Show that again, you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So you select this one. So here, when you create a coordinator job, it is going to ask which workflow you want to schedule. Which workflow you want to schedule. So when you select that workflow, which workflow you want to schedule, when you select that workflow, you can edit this one. That's not a problem. You see here, so then only this is going to come. Till then it is not going to come. Which workflow to schedule, you can specify that. That is the reason why first you need to define the workflow, then only you can come to the coordinator jobs. Without a workflow, we cannot do anything in the coordinator job. A scheduled workflow is considered to be a coordinator job, nothing more than that.
We can specify the dependencies as well. Like for job one need to be completed to run the job two.
No, that is we are doing in the workflow itself, right?
Okay.
That is we are doing in the workflow itself, right? Workflow, we are writing the action. That action will have only two results. One okay, otherwise there is an exception. On okay, we go to the next one. On exception or error, we are going to, what is that we are going to do? We are going to terminate, we are going to take that to the end. We will not be continuing. So that all we do in the workflow itself. We will not be doing anything, in your scheduler. In the coordinator job, what we do is we only schedule that coordinate, so that workflow. See, workflows can be dynamically executed on demand. Whenever you want, you go to the workflow and click on submit, then you can do it. But you want these workflows to be executed on some conditions or something like, or every day morning at some time, you want these workflows to be executed, then you can make them as coordinator jobs. You got the point?
Yeah, I got you.
So, next what we have is bundle. A set of coordinator jobs put together, we call it as a bundle. A set of coordinator jobs is what we call it to be a bundle. Bundle rare we go, but still I am trying to show you what is a bundle. Say for example, I specify here test bundle, assume. Okay, I save that. My test bundle. So what is that I need to do here? What is it I need to do here? I need to specify the coordinator. Are you getting my point, dear friends?
Yeah, yeah.
So you want one more coordinator, you can do that one here. You see that here? So I think with this you have got the understanding what is a workflow, what is a coordinator, and what is a bundle. Of course, definitions wise, you can go to the documentation and get the understanding of what all these are. Like how we have the functional specification for workflow functional specification, coordinator functional specification, bundle functional specification. So for everything we have the functional specification, but you can do all the remaining things only when you do your workflow properly. So the layer on the top of the workflow is nothing but your coordinator job, and set of coordinator jobs gives your set of coordinator jobs going to give your bundle. So coordinator job is just nothing but your scheduled workflow is nothing but a coordinator job. Such coordinator jobs put together, we call it to be a bundle pertaining to one thing. This is all to accomplish your complexity. Why we are doing all these things, friends? Why we are doing all these things? To manage the complexity of your job submission. See, each time you sit before the system and you submit the job, you monitor that one, and then again, once that is over, you go to the next part of the. So instead of we having that one, you are bringing everything into one workflow and submitting that workflow. Making sense, friends?
Yeah. Srinivas, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Sure. So as you said initially, like the last part in the workflow is like the BI part. So is it in the like at the end of the before the end of the workflow we have that BI, or is it or as the byproduct of the workflow you apply the BI?
No, I didn't get you. Come out. Can you come out once again?
Sure. Yeah, initially when you're explaining as the workflow, you said like apart from the other things that are included in the actions, you also on the board, like you were drawing about the BI, the ultimate thing that.
Oh, that will not be a part of this one. No. That will not be a part of this one. That is actually the analyst going to sit and get. This is external to your ecosystem, right? See what all you are seeing here. This entire thing is your ecosystem, but this is not a part of your ecosystem. Hadoop
So till
ecosystem.
that, like before the second part that you said, the first part is the whole output of the workflow. That
Exactly.
you take it and apply it like with whatever BI.
Exactly. So when you keep the data ready inside your database, probably the analyst is going to consume that one and do whatever they need. Got the point?
Yeah, I got it. And the other question to what Prasad asked, like even when something was going in my mind, like saying, like, is there a way we can do a sequential? I know in the when you're scheduling the workflows, you do that one after the other. But can we do conditional? Like if one workflow does some task, if that is completed successfully, only then execute the second workflow. So can we do that conditional thing in the
Yeah.
schedule?
That is what we are doing here, right? See, on OK only, we are taking it to the next level. Now, if you look closely here, on OK only, we are taking it to the next level. See here, on OK, we go to the next action. If that is not OK, we are ending up, we are taking a different direction.
But that is within the same workflow, right? If we have like two independent workflows and we want to do the second workflow executed through the scheduler based
But
on
that is
the
what you are
success of
doing
the
with,
first one.
No, that is what you are doing with your fork. That is what you are doing with fork. This is one flow of execution. Of course, not as a separate XML. No, not as a separate XML. This is one flow. I think you are getting my point. This is one flow. Okay. And this is one more flow. And how I can do that one? I can do that one as part of my fork. I can specify that. I can specify that here. In the fork, let me show you that. Yes, see here. Both will have independent executions. Both will have independent executions. No relation, no dependency. And they can be joined together at some level. Now within somewhere, you want even the execution to happen. Let me show you that even. You see here. I think this you are asking.
So this achieves the job where you're trying to call multiple workflows within the same workflow?
No, multiple workflows. No, multiple workflows we cannot.
One.
Multiple.
Okay.
See, workflow, that is where I mentioned, you need to have that bigger picture in the mind. What is that you want? What is the requirement to you? That you take and you do all these things. Maybe you want, you can have whatever you are saying, two workflows into one only, and you can have dependency based on that. I mean, sub workflows, and you can join them and take it forward. But we cannot have two workflows within the same workflow. That is not possible.
I got it. And you said that, and also you said like using the scheduler also, we can't schedule conditionally. If one workflow is done successfully, then only execute the second one. So even that is not possible, you said.
Yes, they're not possible.
So the workflow is a complete picture of the scheduling what you're going to do, like so everything, like conditionally, everything you're going to write in the workflow, and that's going to be only one is running for the project kind of thing, like whatever you mentioned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Right. I got that point, but I was thinking loud,
Okay.
like maybe
So,
while initially doing the requirements, like, during the phase one, I didn't imagine, like,
But you can always enhance that, right, Prasad, Ram? You can always
yeah,
enhance that.
modify the,
You can
yeah,
keep adding. It is not that once you did and you are going to finish that one and you make it forever. It is not like that, right? You can say, for example, this one, you can go to that and click on edit, and you can add whatever you want. It is not that. See, we have the option here, edit, and you always can do that, right? I can bring and add a new one. You can see that here. See, one second. One second. we can drag this and drop it. Yes. See here, I can keep adding like this, right? Whatever I want, I can add something like this. That should not be a problem. I can specify where my script is located and all. I can get that thing done there. That is always possible. You always can add, you can always can edit the existing workflows. You can bring something in front or at the end, depending on your requirement. You also can bring here, or you can bring after that here. I think you notice there is a grade line which is not visible directly, but you need to drop exactly on that. Exactly on that. Then only. Either before this action or after this action. That is based on your need. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So you maybe in the coming days, if your requirement changes, you have the option of editing your existing workflow. Thereby, we will not be having any challenge that you want to accomplish a new thing as part of the existing requirement, or your requirement got changed, you want to accomplish something, you always can do that here. There is no problem for that. And accordingly, your coordinator job, you don't need to change anything in the coordinator, that is fine. Only the workflow is being changed, but a coordinator job runs as usual 5:30 in the morning, that is fine. And bundle also the same. Whatever you made the changes in the workflow, the same will get incorporated into your bundle also through your coordinator. So it is not doing anything. Oozie is not doing anything specific. That is where I said all these are the layers of abstraction on the top of your MapReduce. In Oozie, what we are doing is whatever we did all these days, that we are trying to summarize it in such a way that with less human intervention, we are able to run those jobs. Otherwise, what is required? You should go to the terminal and there you run your MapReduce job. And after that is over, you ignite your pig script. After that is over, you ignite your HiveQL and then do something there. And that's how you are going to end. So in order to make these workflows to run properly, there should be you can call it to be a parser or someone who understands this XML and read this XML, take one by one and start executing it. That is the reason why we are calling that as a Oozie server. We call that as a server for the reason we define a workflow now. We define a workflow, and this workflow you submit to a server. The server is going to parse this XML file and executes one by one, and depending on what you configured, it makes the execution. On OK, you want something to happen. On error, you want something to happen. Based on that, it will make the flow to be continued. How you have defined. That is why, first of all, we need to have the requirement in place. Without that, you cannot see what needs to be done here. And there are many jobs which you want to run on your own, then you are going to make them as workflows only. You are not going to make them as coordinator jobs. You make the workflow as a coordinator job only when you expect the routine thing needs to happen every day at fixed interval. So you can make that into a coordinator job, eventually a bundle. But most workflows are submitted on demand. Whenever you need, you submit. This makes sense, and there is no much thing to learn here, honestly. Only thing is XML. We need to only learn XML, and using that XML, how you do it, how you publish your workflow. And remaining two things, they are the byproducts of your workflow only. So that is the reason why we need to go through the workflow functional specification here. If you see closely, here we have workflow functional specification, coordinator functional specification, and bundle functional specification. So when you go to your workflow functional specification, there it is going to tell you clearly what are the control flow nodes, what are the action nodes, right? So what actions we have? We have a MapReduce action, PIG action, FS action, one file system action, SSH action, sub workflow action, Java action. So all these are the different actions which you can, Hive action, scoop action, all those are there. And usually these XML files are not created manually, because you know very well a small typo can lead to the disaster. Not to happen, we use some graphical interface. We always use a graphical interface. In Eclipse, you see something called Eclipse. In Eclipse also we have Oozie, um, Oozie plugin in Eclipse. Using that, with the graphical user interface, you are going to establish the relationships and all, and the output of this one is consumed as an input to the next one. That all is possible through your various UI interfaces. You can do it manually from the terminal, specifying what is your XML and what is the properties file and how you submit that one and all. Here through the editors also we can do that. The same thing. Whatever we are doing, you can also do it through the editors. In Oozie, we are not learning any new concept related to Hadoop. Only thing is, all whatever we have learned now, how they can be integrated together using a simplified language and write the XML files and make those XML files to be submitted to the server. Server nothing but the application which parses these XML files and tries to execute action by action. So where you are eliminating the human intervention. You only select the workflow, submit that one, that's it. Make sense, friends?
Srinivas, can you please go
Yeah.
there? It's a bit confusing. Initially, you said like we need to write that XML if we want to go manually, and in the second thing we saw is like using the Oozie browser, we were able to
Editor, yeah.
editor, we were able to directly go there. So in both the cases, we need XML to be written for sure, or is it in the second case we don't need the XML?
No, XML. XML is going to be there in both the cases. You want, you can see here and show you. In both the cases, XML. Without that, see, without XML, no way that this is going to be. I'll show you. I think I've already shown you that. If not, I'll show you once again. This one you take and go over there. You'll be seeing the definition for that. XML is definitely. You do either through editor or you do it using this one. But XML file is mandatory, without which the execution will not happen at all. That is the reason why we are looking into this functional specification. How the start node should be, start to You specify the name of the node. They're giving the example there. End control node, how you do that. Kill control node, how you do that. Decision control node, how you do that. Fork and join, how you do that. So everything they have specified here. Now understanding that one, we need to apply those things inside your XML file and make your XML file like that. So instead of you taking the pain of writing the XML, what I am telling you is, you can do the same thing using your UI part, where your whenever you create a new one, so you have the provision there, what all the actions available, all are visible here only, and accordingly we do the things. You see that here? So you also can see you notice here, fix script one side and this one goes, and finally join brings both the things and continue your execution part. So this is only the graphical user interface, but for this also, then the background, the XML is being generated.
And the other properties file also, as you were doing in the manual stuff in the first step. So that's also automatically generated in the background in this one.
So at every level, I think you are noticing, right? At every level, if you see, at every level, we are giving the properties actually. If you look at that one closely, at every level, we give the properties file, properties basically. You see that here? You add a property that actually goes and sits in your properties file. What is your mapper class? What is your reducer class? Map output? What is the directory? All these things comes under your properties, right? So you can click on this one and add a new property. You see that here? Two new properties been added. You want to add, you can add. What has happened? One property has been added here. What's the point?
Yeah, Srinivas, thanks.
Just go through the functional specification. I mean, it's definitely needed. Workflow is definitely needed. I don't say. But most organizations, you know, they go episodically. I mean, episodically instance is not that being streamlined. But yes, when you're moving towards stabilized production environment, yes. Go through this documentation once, friends, so that you will be able to decently understand. And we don't have much things to do here. We don't have any, specific thing that needs to be learned here, except understanding what is a workflow, what is a coordinator job, what is a bundle, and how you write the XML files, how you write the properties file, how you submit that one and see, evaluate how you're going to run them. That's it. You don't have too many things here. When you submit, it has been received by your Oozie server, nothing but a Java web application receiving this XML file, parse this one and try to execute one after the other in the place of human being. That's it. Make sense?
Yes, Srinivas.
Yeah. So we'll try something and we'll ask you.
Yeah, try it out. Try it out. I mean, as long as you try on your own, you'll not gain that confidence. I advise you to try that. And if you have any issue, let me know. We'll work on it. Right? Probably in the next two sessions, we try to close as in the next session, I'll be giving the big picture of Yarn and Spark. I'll be giving you the big picture of Yarn and Spark. Yarn is only the architecture level, no programming is there. And Spark also, we're not going to see any programming part. I give you in what way your Spark is more advantageous compared to MapReduce. The big picture we see. How we make Spark more efficient compared to your MapReduce. The architectural aspects we see probably in the next session, right? So that gives you the decent
Okay.
closure of what is been planned for this program.
And also a little bit, yeah, when you're talking about the Spark and all, you're going to talk about Zookeeper as well.
Zookeeper is again a theoretical thing, and that also I will discuss. So it's only to ensure the high
Yeah, okay.
availability aspect for your cluster, for your services. So
Okay.
Zookeeper, I mean, what all we did till last, till
Okay.
your scoop and all, maybe programmatically things are involved, including scoop, flume and all. Programmatically, we need to do something because we have all the APIs involved. And this one is also the configuration, not more than that. And your yarn and all is an architectural aspect, no programming involved there. And even your Spark, of course, truly programming part, but we are not going to see that elaboratively as part of this course. So we see the overview of that one. And Zookeeper, yes, we see. Anything more?
Srinivas, as you said, like for my request of the Kafka, one of the examples of Kafka, like at the end you said, like
You want me to give some idea on the Kafka?
yeah, an example, yeah.
We'll try that one. I think, on this, let me just check once. I think it should be, whatever I'm showing you now, this is on my actual cluster, not on the pseudo cluster. We have set up that again. I think that Kafka is also, if not a problem. Okay, it's not there. It is not been, this parcel is not there. I need to activate this. Kafka, let me download that and set up. So possibly we see something on that.
Sure, thanks, Srinivas.
Okay. Yeah, fine and friends. I'll catch up again in the next session then. So in the next one or two sessions, I mean, we are not in a hurry to close it, but you know, I mean, definitely there should be a beginning and ending. So we need to close it. So we'll try to
That's true.
close,
It's sad to
right? We try
we're
to
so
close.
used to the sessions now. Yeah, yeah.
Voice is not clear, Ram.
Srinivas, I was saying like it's hard to hear like it's getting closed, but yeah, we got so used to our everyday sessions. A lot of
No, it is only, Ram, to be honest with you, it is only, I mean, officially we say that, but I'm accessible to you all the times.
that's
You
good,
can reach.
Srinivas, because like we haven't gotten much time to get into the executing stuff. So when
Yeah,
we do
no
that,
issue, no
probably
issue.
it's
Even in the coming days, yeah, I'm not trying to convince you. Even in the coming days, you feel for some reason you are not able to follow, or you have the pain in understanding some concept. Never mind. Talk to Sunil or someone and ask them to give the access to the coming sessions. Whenever we are doing the practice, you have some bottleneck, or try to reach Sunil or someone. They are going to tell you where the sessions are going on now. and ask them to accommodate you in the sessions, no problem. I already instructed my team. So it is, I mean, our job is not to just finish our training program and leave them. So I'm very clear on that. So you always can access that. Okay, may not be the entire course possible again because of various limitations. But yes, some few sessions that you need, you always can access that. No problem at all.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for that, Srinivas. And also like the request I made you earlier for the examples that you want to share
I'm
in
really
the
sorry,
presentation. Yeah, it's okay. I know, like,
Ram. No, no, I'll make sure that is going to be done. I already shared with them. I think they
okay.
might have forgotten that. I've already shared that.
Yeah.
That is the reason
Yeah.
why they are also
Whatever.
available on my box. I think you noticed here. That is the reason why. Otherwise, I didn't. I might haven't kept it here. So MapRed, I kept it here for the reason I got onto this laptop. That was there only on my pseudo cluster, but I got it here so that I can share it with them. I already shared with them. So to keep it on the blog, if not, no problem. Evening, I take the rights to access the blog and upload it in the blog. Not a problem at all.
That'll be really great.
Yeah.
Whatever examples you had, like, for each topic, like, if you could share them,
Sure.
at least we could run them,
Even
like,
the
with the,
even the
we can
data
get
sets also.
confidence, like,
Even the data sets
that'll
also
be,
that are associated with that, I try to keep both.
sure.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Great, friends. I'll catch up in the next session then. Wonderful.
Sure. You have a nice day, Srinivas.